You were almost there. So close you could feel the change in the air like the wind just before a storm breaks. And then, silence, stillness, another door, still shut. It's enough to make your soul ache, to wonder if something's wrong with class you, if you missed the moment, if the silence means no, but what if it doesn't? What if the delay you're feeling is the very hand of God, holding you back to preserve you, not to punish you? There are cliffs you didn't see ahead, and burdens you weren't meant to carry yet. And in His mercy, He slowed your pace. He's not trying to frustrate your faith. He's saving your spirit from collapse. Because sometimes the kindest thing heaven can do is say, not yet. You won't always understand it. You won't always like it. But you're not being forgotten. You're being formed, held, prepared, until the moment no storm can undo what He's about to build in you. So if you're tired of waiting, stay. This sacred pause isn't wasted. It's weighted with love. Even now, heaven is closer than it feels. And the no you feared might just be the not yet that saves you. Stay here a little longer. There's more, and it's for you. There's a particular kind of ache that comes when you think it's too late. Like you were meant to catch a train, and now you're standing on the platform, empty-handed, watching it disappear into the fog. You wonder if you misunderstood the timing, or if God moved, and you didn't. So many voices whisper, you waited too long. You should have done more. You missed it. But not one of those voices sound like grace. Not one of them carries the kindness of heaven. You need to know this. God doesn't operate on scarcity. His plan for you doesn't vanish because you were tired, or unsure, or slower than you hoped to be. The promise wasn't fragile. It wasn't lost in the waiting. And you are not too far gone to receive it. You haven't missed it. You're not behind. You're not disqualified. What God started in you was never meant to be rushed. It was meant to be rooted. And roots grow slowly. Even now, the soil of your life is shifting. Even now, the unseen things are being prepared. What's ahead of you isn't something you have to chase, it's something you'll walk into at the appointed time. So breathe. Shake off the shame. There's nothing passive about being held by God in the middle of your becoming. And if this is speaking to something deep in you, if your heart is whispering, this is what I needed today, stay close with us at Calm Called. This space was made for souls like yours. Subscribe now, so when the next quiet word arrives, it finds you ready to receive it. It's the nearness that hurts the most. When the door doesn't slam, it stays, almost open. When the blessing isn't gone, it's just not quite here. You feel the stirring, the shift in the wind, but nothing moves. You're stuck in the in-between. Between I believe and I can't keep waiting. Between I trust and I'm tired. This is the ache of almost, and it can feel cruel. To stand so close to breakthrough you can taste it, only to watch the sky stay gray. But here's what most never tell you. Almost is still holy ground. Because almost is where God refines what you truly believe. In the land of self, almost faith is no longer theory, it becomes breath. Trust stops being a word and becomes your walk. You learn to listen differently, to move not by sight, but by whisper. If you're in the ache of almost, you're not lost. You're not forgotten. You're standing in the prelude. And the God who called you won't leave you here. You weren't brought this far to be disappointed. There is something forming that your eyes can't yet see. And sometimes, heaven waits until we're still enough to see it clearly. This is not the end of your story. It's the turning point, and it begins right here. Stay with me. There's more unfolding than you know. There are seasons in your life that feel like stillness, but are actually preparation disguised as delay. Like a runner held at the starting line, muscles ready, heart pounding, yet the signal hasn't come, and it feels like punishment. But what if it's training? What if this quiet place is heaven's gym? Not to build your strength for battle, but to deepen your endurance for blessing? We talk so much about surviving hardship, but we rarely talk about being strong enough to receive. Because blessings carry weight too. Favor can be heavy if your roots aren't deep. God sees the terrain ahead. He knows the hills you can't see from here. The visibility might be low, but the designer of your path has already walked it. And he knows you'll need stamina for the long stretch. You'll need character to hold the increase. You'll need the kind of peace that doesn't shatter when people misunderstand your favor. So here, in the quiet, he conditions you. He stretches your trust. He strengthens your inner resolve. He trains your heart to recognize his voice, so that when doors open, you don't run through the wrong one. There's no wasted motion in heaven's training. Even this, the waiting, the wondering, the weary prayers, is being used, not to exhaust you, but to establish you. Maybe that's why this has taken so long. Not because you're disobedient, but because you're important. Your preparation isn't punishment. It's prophetic. It's what makes you able to carry what's coming without collapsing under its glory. So lift your head. You're not on pause, you're being positioned. And when the next door opens, you'll walk through it with the strength of someone trained for the terrain. We live in a culture that idolizes speed, instant success, overnight blessings. But God moves at the pace of eternity, not the tempo of urgency. It's not because he's distant. It's because he sees what we don't. He knows that the thing you're praying for could break you if it arrives before you're ready. And so, in his mercy, he waits, not out of cruelty, but out of care. Readiness in the kingdom isn't about perfection. It's about capacity, the ability to receive and remain faithful once it's given. Think of a clay vessel. If the shape isn't set, it can't hold what's poured in. If the structure is rushed, it will crack under the weight. So the potter works slowly, firmly, intentionally. And that's what he's been doing in you. Every delay, every detour, every denied shortcut was part of his shaping process. Because your calling isn't shallow, your impact won't be small, and the preparation has to match the promise. Yes, it feels long. Yes, it feels hidden, but he's not withholding out of indifference. He's waiting for the Father who can carry the blessing with wisdom, not ego, with gentleness, not fear. He's aligning your soul with your season. And when the two finally meet, breakthrough will feel natural, not forced. Peaceful, not panicked. Sacred, not sudden. So if you're in a season of pause, don't curse the slowness. Bless it. Let it work in you. Let it grow what your future needs. He hasn't forgotten you. He's just waiting for you to be ready to receive all of it. Not just the door, but the room behind it. Not just the promise, but the peace to walk in it well. There are moments when something shifts, not outside you, but within. You can't explain it clearly, but something sacred starts to stir. You're not as anxious anymore, not as frantic to prove, to fix, to rush. It's not that the wait has ended. It's that your heart is no longer fighting it. That's how you know this is the turning season. God often moves before the movement is visible. Before you see open doors, you'll feel release. Before the blessing arrives, something will unclench inside you. And sometimes, the first miracle is peace in the middle of the same circumstance. Look again. The season is changing. It's not dramatic, it's divine. Like dawn breaking, not with noise, but with light. Soft, certain, inevitable. God has been building something deeper in you. A quiet authority, a rooted strength. So when the new thing comes, you won't flinch. You'll stand, because you've already been reshaped on the inside. He's not just giving you something new. He's making you new for it. It's no longer about striving. This is about receiving. It's about alignment, not effort. Obedience, not overexertion. And even if nothing around you looks different yet, your posture is changing. You're no longer begging. You're trusting. And heaven moves powerfully in that space. This is the holy hinge between what was and what's next. It won't shout. It won't shake the ground, but it will change everything. Because when heaven whispers, now, everything aligns, and the doors that resisted you for years begin to open without force. So take a breath. This is the turning season. Your spirit knows it even if your eyes don't. Stand still in the peace of this moment. He's moving, and you're not late. 0, 4, you're right on time. There's a subtle war that happens in waiting, between your timeline and God's. We don't always say it aloud, but most of us carry secret clocks, moments we thought it would have happened by now. Marriage, healing, the breakthrough, the answer, the shift. And when those clocks run past the deadline we imagined, it doesn't just hurt, it disorients. We start to doubt not just the promise, but the promiser. But hear this, God isn't bound by your urgency. He's bound by His love. And love isn't late. Love waits for what's best and what's ready. So what would it look like? To lay your timeline down? Not to give up hope, but to release control. To let go of the pressure you've put on yourself. To arrive somewhere by now. To stop measuring your worth by your progress. Because you are not a project. You are a person in process. Loved, guided, held, even here. Even in the space between what you prayed for and what you see. Maybe the invitation isn't hurry up, Maybe it's slow down and trust. Every story God writes has its own divine rhythm. And your story isn't late. It's sacredly paced. So lay it down. The spreadsheet, the schedule, the shame that says you should be further by now. 0, 6, none of those are from Him. What's from Him? Peace, clarity, the quiet assurance that He knows the way, even when you don't. And when you surrender the need to time it all, you create space to trust Him again, to breathe again, to be present for the small, sacred moments that are already unfolding. He hasn't forgotten your timeline. He just sees more than it shows. And in time, you'll be grateful for the wait. Let go. Lay it down. There's peace waiting on the other side. And it begins with surrender. The world will always urge you to go faster, to catch up, to make it happen. But heaven doesn't operate on panic. Heaven moves at the pace of peace. That's hard to accept when you feel behind, when everyone else seems to be arriving, and you're still circling the same place. It's tempting to force movement just to quiet the fear. But here's the truth. You don't need to move faster. You need to move in sync with God's timing, God's voice, God's peace. Heaven's pace is gentle but precise. It doesn't skip steps, and it never forgets the path it's taking you on. Think of how rivers move, not rushed, but relentless. They curve with intention, carving canyons over time. You don't question their power just because they're slow, and neither should you question God's. You were never meant to keep up with the noise. You were meant to walk in rhythm with the Spirit, to discern what's yours to do and what's not, to listen, move, pause, wait, all as He leads. This isn't passivity. This is holy alignment, and it's powerful. Because when you move with heaven, you're carried, not dragged, led, not chased. God isn't in a rush to get you there. He's walking with you, here. And every step in obedience becomes a seed in the ground, something that will rise in its appointed time. So what if you stopped pushing, stopped comparing? What if you trusted the slower pace that's wrapped in divine wisdom? You won't miss what's meant for you, but you can miss the peace of this moment if you're too busy trying to run ahead of grace. Let this be your shift from forced momentum to faithful movement, from hurry to harmony. Heaven's pace is stillness with direction. It's peace with motion, and it's where you'll find Him walking just beside you. There comes a point in every spiritual journey where nothing makes sense anymore. No confirmations, no open doors, no stirring, just silence. And that's where real faith is born. Not in the clarity, but in the dark. It's easy to trust when everything is aligning, when the signs are visible, when the yes is loud. But what about when there's no sign at all? No signal, no direction, no proof? That's when faith becomes holy. Not performative, not emotional, but anchored even without sight. You're not failing because you feel unsure. You're not weak because you're tired of holding on. This is where the saints were formed. In caves, in wilderness, in prisons, in silence. They learned what you are learning now. The absence of evidence is not the absence of God. Sometimes the stillness is sacred, a test not of how loudly you can believe, but how deeply. Faith isn't proven when the breakthrough comes. It's proven when nothing moves and you still stay. Still whisper his name. Still rise with hope. Still choose peace over panic. Still say, even here, I trust you. This isn't spiritual failure. It's spiritual formation. And you're not alone in this silence. He's closer now than you think. Not shouting, but sustaining. The dark doesn't scare him. It never has. And if you're walking through it, you're not being abandoned. You're being not trusted. Because faith without evidence is the most dangerous kind to the enemy. It's pure, uncompromised, unshaken by circumstance, and it shakes the very gates of hell. So if all you have today is breath and a quiet, I'm still here, God, you have enough. You're walking in faith, and that is never unnoticed in heaven. When the road ahead feels unclear, sometimes the only way forward is to look back, not in regret, but in remembrance. Because this isn't the first time you've felt lost, and it's not the first time God has come through. You've been carried before. You've seen doors open that no one could explain. You've watched impossible things slowly unfold into clarity. You've heard his voice, maybe not audibly, but unmistakably. You know what it feels like. When peace interrupts panic, when something unseen steadies you, when your soul calms for no reason, except the one who holds it. That wasn't coincidence. That was God, and he hasn't changed. Memory is a spiritual weapon. It protects you from the lie that says, you're alone in this. It silences the whisper. This time, he won't show up. Because you better. You've seen too much of his faithfulness to believe he would stop now. So go ahead, walk the halls of your spiritual memory. Name the places he met you. Remember the moments you almost gave up, but didn't. The prayers you whispered on the floor that later became testimonies. Those aren't just stories. They are markers, proof, Ebenezer's, altars of grace along the road. They remind you, God doesn't start something he won't finish. And if he was faithful then, he is faithful now. He doesn't change with your emotions. He doesn't adjust his timing to your panic. He stays steady so you can be still. Even now, he is weaving the same kind of story, one that will one day be a new memory, one you'll point to and say, that was him. I didn't see it then, but he was there the whole time. So breathe. Remember, you've seen his hand before, and you'll see it again. There is a moment, so quiet, so holy, when everything starts to make sense. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to breathe deeper, to see the thread, to feel the alignment. It's the moment when preparation finally meets promise, and what once felt like wandering was actually precision. Suddenly, you realize why it took so long, why certain doors stayed closed, why certain prayers had to wait, why your soul had to be stretched before the blessing could land. The pain wasn't pointless. The delay wasn't denial. The silence wasn't absence. It was all God. Every hidden day, every sacred no, every quiet turn. Because now, you see what he was shaping. You feel it in your chest. The calm assurance that this is what you were being prepared for. Not just the opportunity, but the capacity to walk in it well. And here's the beauty. You're not the same person who started this journey. You're stronger, softer, quieter in spirit, but louder in faith. You don't need the whole plan. You just need this moment, and the God who holds it. This is sacred alignment, the intersection of heaven's intention and your surrender. And when they meet, it's not explosive. It's peaceful, like arriving home. So don't rush this feeling. Let it settle. Let it wash over the wounds of waiting. Let it show you nothing was wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single delay. He really was preparing the way. And now, the way is opening.